Yeah, my wife won't let me touch knives anyway because I'm a klutz.
Are you really?
A little bit, yeah.
It's simple. I have a case. It's filled with hundreds of postcards. On the back of each postcard, I've written topics. We pull these cards at random, and then we talk.
Okay, what do I do here?
Well, we sit back and we pull out a card, and it'll have a topic on it, and then we're just going to talk about it. We're going to riff. It's kind of like jazz, actually. The first card is luck.
Luck.
Luck. Let's talk about luck. And how has luck played a role in your career?
Oh, I've been lucky. I was, first of all, grew up around New York City. You know, if I had grown up in the Midwest, it would have been harder to leave, you know, and your home area, there wasn't much happening, or down south or something. In New York, especially for jazz, is really the epicenter, you know. I married the right woman, you know. She could have been really against my being a musician, you know, which I understand why, you know, when your spouse says, you know, I'm going to be gone half the year playing my guitar. Is that okay with you? And usually it's not okay. You know, I have a lot of friends that played really well, but it ended up their wife wasn't supportive, or their spouse. You know?
How many days a year these days are you actually gone?
It's about half the time, and it has been like that for 40 years.
When you were first starting out with your career and you were trying to get noticed, what were some of the big moments, maybe we can even call them lucky moments, where somebody recognized you, the right person, the right place?
My career has been playing with my idols, you know, it's just been the greatest, you know. So I was a jazz fan first, and music fan first, and then I got to meet some of these guys. And first I met Gary Burton, the vibraphonist, when I was 19, got to play with him, and then I moved to New York, and I met a drummer named Billy Cobb and George Duke, the keyboard player. They took me in their band, and the Brecker brothers were in their band. You know, so all these guys that I've been listening to on records got to play with them. Then Miles Davis heard me in a club and invited me to join his band. You know, and because I had been playing with Billy Cobb, I got to play with Charles Mingus because they were looking for somebody. Before that, I had met Gerry Mulligan because of an older drummer that I played with, Alan Dawson. He recommended me to Gerry Mulligan. So all these guys, I had their records, and then I got to play with them. And the nature of jazz being that everybody needs younger musicians to come and join their band and work cheap, you know, but who play well. So we're all on the lookout for young talent.
Well, how did you get together with Phil Lesh?
Phil, yeah. Phil called me. You know, he this was later in my career. I mean, he's very aware of jazz and of improvised music and you know, the kind of jam band scene that I was on. And so he called me years ago and said, come on out to California. He brought me out there and said, let's try playing together. You know, with Phil, it's beautiful because we play the Grateful Dead tunes, and he wants each one of them to go on a journey, you know, and to move into the free area of just free improvisation. So that's it's the only rock star I know who wants to do that, you know. and that's where I come in, because that's what I know how to do. Tonight, it's a special thing. It's me and John Cleary. John Cleary is a pianist and singer who specializes in New Orleans R&B, old school stuff.
He's going to sing, right?
He's going to sing every song.
Every song.
Every tune has vocals. I even sing background on a couple of tunes, which is hilarious because it's pretty bad.
It can't be that bad. When you and John hooked up, what was that like the first time? Did you feel it right off the bat?
Yeah, well, you know, I was a big fan of his. So when I played with him, I'm also a big fan of, you know, some of his idols, Professor Longhair and Dr. John and these guys that he's coming from, you know. So we just like the same kind of music. First time we played, bam.
All right, let's go on to another card here. This one is called Broken Bones.
I've never had a broken bone in my life, thank goodness. It's funny, a couple of times, like before a recording session, I would cut my hand. It would be a recording set, you know. So you can play the guitar with a piece of Band-Aid like right here or right here, you know, if it's not right on it. But even, and also I've had like fingernail issues where right before I was going to play, oh no, I had like a hangnail that somehow got even worse. And that can really be painful. And then, you know, you just whack away at it with a Band-Aid on your finger. I've never had an occasion where I couldn't play. Had I sprained a finger or something, I've never done that.
You have to be careful all the time. I'd be paranoid.
I guess I'm just naturally paranoid all the time about my hands. Yeah, my wife won't let me touch knives anyway because I'm a klutz.
Are you really?
A little bit, yeah. First of all, there's no going back, is there? You know, because it's a problem. Because the way that musicians make money has changed, and royalties, intellectual property, is very hard to make money in the way that even 10 years ago you could. And it's sort of like, you know, the old song about John Henry, who was the guy who, you know, hammered the ties in on the railroad, and then the steam shovel came and took him out of business, you know, and then he had this big fight with the steam shovel, and he killed himself trying to, you know, and that's what's happening for musicians. And, you know, you got to watch it because you start to sound like the bitter old guy, you know. There's nothing you can do. It's just changed. But when I was a kid, I knew that if for some reason, I didn't even want to do it, but if I wrote a song that got on the radio, that I could make some money doing that. So, you know, I'm just worried that young people won't want to go into music because it'll be like, I don't want to pay those kind of dues for my whole life. I want to have an income stream. And I'm scared that that's going to hurt music. That will hurt music. The big record companies that, you know, we're all so happy to see those big fat cats not make so much money. You know what? Those record companies put money back into signing, you know, 100 bands a year that wouldn't make it. But those bands got to have recording budgets and got to have publicists and got to go out on tour and got to be musicians. And it also kind of clutters up the market for the really talented people, you know, because then they're just out there with 8 million other CDs that, you know, people don't know what to buy. Yeah, everybody can make their album at home. Yeah, so what? No, I want to hear the guys, the musicians that put their heart and soul and life into it, into their art form, and care more than anything about it. And are those people going to then become scientists or doctors or some other little bit more, you know, mainstream thing? Touring's still great. You know, the gigs are still there. The people love music. We're better than ever for me, touring-wise.
Because you can't.
And I'm not complaining because jazz, you never made money on it. Nobody had hit records in jazz, so it's cool.
And you can't. And you can't fake what's going on stage. That's real up there.
Yeah, that's right.
So the lawyer who can play 3 chords and maybe the truth.
Yeah.
You know, he might be able to put out that record from his basement. But he's not going to make any money doing it because he's not going on tour.
If he's not, you know, the whole thing of coming through the ranks and playing a bunch of gigs and getting your craft together is what makes you good at it and be able to hold an audience for an hour, you know?
I'll let you pick the last one here.
Okay.
Let's see how you're lucky.
So what my favorite state? Well, let's see. Maine, the last state up the East Coast.
Oh, this is one of my favorite ones.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, this is Guilty Pleasures. So when you're on the road like this and you're on tour, what are your guilty pleasures? Is there like a food that you want to go eat? Is there something that you do?
Well, the guilty pleasure is overeating excessively, you know, and calling room service is a guilty pleasure.
It's just so easy.
It's way too easy. You know, what kind of cheesecake they got today? You know, yeah, that's about it. That's about all that's left for me. You know, I don't get high anymore. I stopped doing all that like 18 years ago. Helped my music and my life and everything. And food is pretty great. Yeah.
You haven't used drugs or alcohol for almost 2 decades now.
Yeah, right.
When you see something like Scott Weiland,
you know, it's part of life. The drug problem and alcohol and people wanting to escape through these things, unfortunately, some of those things can kill you as well as ruin your life. When I hear about somebody like Scott, I just think I think how lucky I am that it wasn't me. You know, I'm not one of those people that says that nobody should drink or smoke pot or whatever, because I think the majority of people can handle it. But some of us, it's just something in our DNA that makes us really want to get high. And it's been great for me to get away from that, because I don't think I would be here talking to you, and I don't think I'd have a career if I hadn't been able to change up.
And it said that it made your playing better as well.
Oh yeah, it did. It's funny because one of the reasons I got into like drinking and getting high was so I'd get loose so I could play. Because when I found that if I had a couple of drinks or something, I could relax, you know. But really easy to go overboard, and then your playing suffers. And plus then having to deal with hangovers and drug hangovers the next day, you don't get anything done. You know if it's hanging you up. You know, if you look at yourself and say, this is a real problem trying to make getting high and the rest of my life work, then you know. But there is a way out. There's a lot of people like myself who, have been down that road and have gone a different way, and it's worked out great, and people like me and Trey and whatever, you know. So there's hope.